Hi everybody, this is Tim Milloway from timmilloway.com. Tutorial on how to do a quick title sequence or intro to whatever show that you have. This will show you some techniques, some basic techniques of After Effects, how to keyframe, how to use some of the effects, um, how to parent, and also how to use a null object, as well as just introducing you to some expressions. So it's all basic. It's very easy to do. So let's see what we're going to end up with first, and then we'll get into it. So we're going to start with this Photoshop file. As you can see, it's transparent, and also the let's see, the image is the image size is 920 by 1080, which is high definition, um, and we want to make sure that that is the same size of our After Effects file. If you're doing it for a smaller screen, you can change that dimension. Okay, so first I'm going to just show you a bit of the layers here. I have a saxophone that I created out of a bunch of files. There's the mouth, here's the bell of the saxophone. So I broke those all up so I could animate them, as well as the side logo, which is just a bunch of different colors that I use for this particular logo. And here is the text that we'll be bringing in. Okay, so let's go into After Effects and show how we can bring this in. Okay, so we're going to File. We open up at After Effects, File, Import, and we're going to import this file as here we're gonna first we got to find the file. We're gonna go to our Documents, Motion Graphics, AE Class, and we're gonna find that logo, which is a Photoshop file. And I want to bring this in, and this is important, as composition retained layer size, so that'll bring it in at the same size, and I'll show you why that we do it that way. If we bring this in, we're going to make the files editable. We want the layer size to be editable, and we're going to hit OK. Okay, so now it's created a composition, and you can see it right there. It says bringing Saxy back. That's the logo, and it also brings in all the layers separately here, as well as a composition for the sax and the side logo, because we had them in separate folders. So let's open up this composition, and as you can see, it is completely transparent, as we did in the as we left it in the Photoshop file. We left it, there was no background, so and you can toggle your transparency on and off with this switch right here. Okay, and you might have noticed also that this sax portion here is in a separate composition also, so that brings in the saxophone and in its separate layers here, as you can see. And so we could definitely break off these things, and this is why we use the composition retained layer sizes, because as you can see here, I don't know, I'll try to zoom in, but the anchor point is right in the middle, and we want that so that when we move these layers, if we spin, if we've rotated, say if we rotate this, it rotates around that anchor point. So that's very important. I'm just going to Control Z and bring that back. Okay, and we also have the side logo. Again, it has all its components to it, so we can animate these things. Okay, the first thing that we want to do is we wanted to um, start to animate some of these features in the logo. So I'm going to start with the saxophone. Okay, and because this is where we want the saxophone to end up. So what I want to do is I'm going to highlight all these, and you can hit Shift click to highlight all these, and I'm going to change the position. So I'm going to hit P, and that opens up all the position. So I'm set at 1 second here, so I'm just going to hit the position button here. So that tells me that for the keyframe, this is where it's going to end up at the end of 1 second. So I'm going to move my timeline back to 0, and we're going to we're just going to move these items, except we want to move them one at a time. So let's de-highlight this. Let's start with the mouth, and we'll move this over here. We'll go to the neck. We'll move this somewhere down here. We'll go to the bell top. Maybe we'll come up from over, maybe over here. The bell down over here. The bottom, have that come up from over here, and the base, we'll just bring that in over here. So that way everything just kind of, now when you see this, it just kind of all comes together like that. So let's go back to second one, and let's add some rotation. Again, we can highlight all these like so, and if we hit Shift and R, that brings up the rotation. So again, let's go to 1 second, and we'll highlight everything here. Hit the rotation for all those first before we, and now when we go back, we can individually change these to 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. All right, 3. Okay. Now they should be spinning. You see that? And they all come together just like that. We'll probably end up putting some opacity on there at some point. And let's close this, and as you can see there at 1 second, that just all comes together like that. Okay, now we're going to animate the side logo, and so we're going to click on that composition. So now we just have these rectangles that we made for that. We're just going to do something simple here. Once again, let's highlight all the rectangles by clicking and shifting and moving our circle, our timeline to 1 second. And let's go once again to the position, and let's click the position so that everything ends right there. We're going to go bring this to layer to the 0 on the timeline, and let's start with this rectangle here, and instead of, we're going to hit Shift and the arrow key, and let's just drag that up here like this, so that they kind of stagger down one at a time. Let's change this to 33% so we can see what's going on here. Let's just go to the second triangle here, rectangle, and again let's give it a little space so that it has a sort of stacking effect. Again, we're hitting the Shift and the arrow key on your keyboard to bring these up, and once again, and then finally the last triangle or rectangle. And let's see how how this looks. Okay, so it goes in sort of a stacking manner. That's how we want this to. This is how I want this motion to look. Okay, so let's go back to our thing, and so far this is what we've got. Okay, I think we can do a little better here, and let's take our text. And actually, what I'd like to do is actually just bring in, delete these and create our own text from this. And let's just let's do bringing. Okay, and then we'll make it this color here. We can get our eyedropper. Okay. Maybe we gotta highlight all these first, and let's change the color. Okay. I prefer to work with the After Effects version. Sexy. Again, let's steal this color here, and then finally we got the word back. We'll have to make this bigger. Make sure it matches this right here. Maybe make it a little smaller. Seems a little better. And the bringing. And we'll make some adjustments back. Let's do our last one. Back. And we'll change the color. Okay. And on this one we're going to have to rotate this. We'll hit the R and we'll rotate this. It should be an even 90 degrees, and that seems to fit right in there. Okay, let's turn off these layers here, and we can get rid of them. Let's take this, spread this out a little bit so that it matches with the Saxy. And then the back, we also want to make that a little, let's make sure we are on that and spread that out a little bit too. That way we get that it matches this like that. Okay, good. Alright, so we can actually delete these now, and now we have our text here. So let's see what we can do here as far as you know, let's start with Saxy, and let's open up the position, and of course we want it to end there, so we'll just hit our keyframe and bring this back like this, and we'll start at 1 second, and let's just swing this over here way out of the screen. And let's go to bringing, and maybe we'll have that come from the other direction. And let's open up the position there, and at 1 second, this is where we want it to be. Let's make sure it's 1 second. And hit the position there, and bring that back, and let's pull that coming from the other direction. And then let's look at the back, again, let's go to second one and hit our position and end it right there, and maybe we'll have that come from above like that. So let's see how it all comes in here. If we hit our alright, and everything kind of flows in there. If we want to just to shorten the this area, we can just hit N to, let's take it at 2 seconds. If we hit the end on our keyboard, that cuts the time down, so we can just kind of see it from this end. Alright, so I like what's going on there. It isn't perfect, but let's stop there. Actually, let's take the opacity for the saxophone layer. Where's our saxophone layer? Let's bring these back in, and let's highlight everything here, and let's just hit T, which gives us the opacity. So at 1 second we want the opacity to be at 100, but let's let's slowly bring that in there. So let's start it somewhere around halfway, and we'll bring this down to 0. Okay, and so that's gonna just slowly kind of come in. I'm not sure if that's where exactly we want it to be, but let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks a little better like that. Okay, now that we have a little bit of motion going on with our animation, let's with our logo, let's talk about some effects that we can use. Let's put a background in here. We're going to go to Layer. Let's get up here. Layer. We have to be on there. So Layer, New, Solid. We're going to make sure that it's the comp size, and we're going to hit OK. Okay. Now what we want to do is put it in a like some sort of gradient. So let's put this at the bottom, and let's add a gradient. Now there's a couple of ways we can get a gradient. We can go here is probably the best way, and we just type ramp. That's what gradients are called. We just kind of throw that right on top of the solid, and as you can see there, it puts in like kind of a default. Now here's where your effects are located. So let's change that to a radiant ramp, and let's change these colors around. Let's make this the inside white and the outside let's try to find like some sort of blue. That's going to work a little bit better, and you can fool around with this as much as you'd like, and you can also kind of move your but I have some numbers here that I already put in, so I'm just going to go with them, and it's like 913 and 564, and then our blue is going to be 9767 and 1215. Okay, so that gives us a nice gradient. It brings out the text, puts a highlight right on the text there. And like I said, you can fool around until you get what your desired, whatever your custom desire is. Okay, let's change the name. We can the way that we change the name of this is we hit enter, and then that turns it that color there, and then we can just put background BG, whatever you want to do. That naming our layers is very important. And the second thing I'm going to add is a lens flare. Now we can go up here to effects and generate, and as you can see there's all kinds of effects here. We're going to use lens flare here, and this is kind of nice, and if you see this, you know, it's got some nice colors and just kind of gives some highlights to and we're going to animate this later on. But for now, again, I have some numbers here that I'm just going to put in here. Minus 150 that I figured out already, and 766. And let's bump this up a little bit to around 140, 139. Okay, that's good. And we can change this, you know, to different lenses, but I like this 50 millimeter. So that gives us, so that's the effects, and they're all over here. And you can also change them. If here's another trick: if you hit U, U will give you all your animations. Like if we go to back here, if we hit U, we can see with where we've animated. If we hit UU, that gives us all the effects that we put in there, and then typing U again will bring us back there. Just a quick keyboard shortcut that we can use, and we'll be using a couple others here. We're going to go back to our project, and we're going to grab an audio piece now, and this is the audio. This is just going to really spice up the animation, giving some sound to this. So I just dropped that into the composition right there. Now, in order to hear this, it's kind of tricky. You have to hit Control period will play the animation. So let's hear it once. And just hit the spacebar to stop. And what we're going to do here is we're going to try to highlight some of the key points that we want to animate on, some of the key beats. And we can do that just by listening, and then we're going to show it visually also. And so what we have to do, again, we're going to hit Control and then period to get the music playing. And then the second time around, I am going to hit Control 8, and I'm just going to try to, you know, hit the 8 whenever I feel there's a bump in the music. Okay, so let's play it once, and then the second time around we are going to try to find those spots. Let's do it one more time. Okay, as you can see down here, I have some points here that I put in here. We'll have to expand this out a little bit now, and now we can kind of twirl this down, and we can see the wave file. There it is right there. And let's see if it kind of lines up with, we can expand this here so we can see it better. Lines up with where the highlights are. We can move that. That one don't seem to be right, that one, but this one seems to be. I might have just missed that. I'm just going to delete that one. Whoops. Whoops, let's bring us all back here. Okay. I'll just move that out of the way. And this one looks like it should be around here. And this one right around here. So now let's see how that looks, and visually with that. Alright, okay, now that we have our sounds, where we want the sounds to go according to these markers, let's try to move things around so that um, that each animation hits on some of these points here. So let's take the first one here. This is at 11 seconds here, or 11 points. So I want this side logo to kind of finish it out at that point. And so I'm going to just shorten this animation and just bring it to 11 seconds, and I can just highlight that. Okay, so now let's go back here, and then the first thing that happens is this thing kind of stops right there. We're going to do something else with this marker, so let's go to this marker here, and let's look at this bringing here. The first, the first piece in this. So instead of moving over, let's go to the P section. Let's take these out here, and we can just unmark that. Let's instead do a scale. So let's have it kind of finished right at this point. So we want it to be 100%. So let's maybe go back, about 10 points, I guess, somewhere around there, and let's bring that to 0. We want it to go, let's just put 0 in there. We don't want it to go to a negative, so it just kind of bounces out. And let's do that the same thing with Saxy. Let's go to the next point here, and again let's hit the scale, which is S, and it's going to finish off there. So we want to just move it back around 10 points or so, and then let's bring that to 0. And so now we got this finishing, and that, and then that, and now we want the back to, let's keep that where it is. I like the way that animation occurs, and let's just have that finished there. But of course we don't want it to start there. We want it to kind of, and then our final piece is that saxophone. I want that sax to kind of finalize right before this instead. We'll do something else around. Okay, again we're going to animate the lens flare for this particular piece right here, and so let's hit our U. Okay, there we go, and this is, so let's it's going to be from here. So let's first of all let's mark our flare centers to be there, and then we want it to go to another location which I've marked here. Again, this is completely up to you, 3, but I've kind of given a 691, and so we want that to go like this, and then in the final piece we want those to come together for that final marker. Now there's something else here that I'd like to introduce, which is easy is so our Bezier curves. If we click here and we go to keyframe assistant, we can have this motion to ease out, and then we go to this one and we want it to ease in, so it kind of gives a little bit more natural motion. And we can do that on the other ones, but we're gonna go through some other things. But we want to have this pop, and the way to do that is what we're gonna highlight both of these, and we're gonna go to the graph editor. Okay, let's expand this here. And remember how we talked about these Bezier curves. So let's start with this one here. and we want this is the first one, so we want this to ease out. Okay, and you see how that gives us an you know, we can pull this thing out to give it some motion, and then we're going to do the same thing with this, except we're going to, you know, ease into this. But instead we're going to, for this, we're going to bring this up and kind of exaggerate it. So what it's going to do is it's going to go bigger than it should, and then kind of come back, kind of give it that bouncy effect. All right, so that's and we're going to do the same thing with the Saxy keyframe. Again, let's hit U, and let's take the graph editor off there, and let's find that keyframe, those keyframes for that. Well, let's shrink this down a little bit. Oh, there it is, right there. There's the Saxy, so let's highlight that, and let's go to the graph editor and open that up a little bit, and we want to do the same thing. Let's this is going to be easing out, and we'll pull that out a little bit, and then we'll go to this one, and we're going to ease in here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to kind of exaggerate that out like this, so that when, you know, it just kind of, you know, goes out and comes in. Let's just do this last couple pieces here. We want this back to be the same type of deal as these kind of bounce in, except we want this to just bounce a little further. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Control C, copy this keyframe, and then we're just going to edit and then paste it right here, because we want it to be the same spot, except for this one we want this to, if we bring this up a little bit and make sure we're on that keyframe, what we want to do is just bring this down a little further. Whoops, we want to go this way. Just bring it down so that when it just then bounces back up. We can move these a little closer here. And again, we can use our keyframe assistant, and we'll ease out here, and we'll ease out here, and then we'll ease in on this one, and that'll make a good, all right, and we'll bounce right back in. Let's before we ram preview, let's do one more thing. I want to introduce another, let's shrink this down, another piece, because what we want to do is kind of zoom this up here, and but in order to do that, we're going to do this in a different way. We're going to introduce null objects. We're going to, if we go under Layer, New, Null Object, and okay, so what we want to do is we've added this null, so what we want to do is parent all these layers except for the background, of course the audio, to the null object, and we can do that by just grabbing this. It's called a pick whip, and then that you can see that these are parented to the null objects. So whatever kind of happens with this null object, if I move this, it's going to have an effect on this logo. So it kind of carries everything. So let's just move that back there. But what we want to do is we want to center this piece in the center. You'll see the animation that I'm trying to do here. So let's get the position here, and at first this is where we wanted to end up at this point here, this point. So let's and we're going to use some scale here. We add the scale by hitting Shift also. So let's just add keyframes for both of those sections there, and then what we want to do is we wanted to uh, um, this item, we want this logo to be in the center. So let's first move it over, as you can see, and let's scale it up, and we'll move it over. Let's scale it up some more, and just center it in the center, just like that. So what's going to happen is, as it comes down, it's going to, and it's going to drop down. Let's even move these keyframes over just even a little bit so that it has a little bit more time to Alright, and then we can put some keyframe assistance. We can easy out, and then we can easy in this also. I'm right mouse clicking to get this keyframe assistant easy in. Might have to adjust this, I'm not sure. The last thing we want to do is adding another, we're going to go to the saxophone here, adding another little piece to this, and this is going to be called a wiggle, and this is called an expression. So we're going to go to the position, and we're just going to alt click there, and what we're going to do is just going to type in the word wiggle, and we want it to wiggle, you know, say 5 times, and the stretch will be, say, 10 pixels. That's what that means. And then we're going to close that, and then we'll see what that's going to give it, a kind of a little of a wiggle, and given that last sax piece. So let's see how this all looks. We might have to do a couple adjustments. Let's see how it works out here. Okay, we might have to wiggle that a little faster, and let's just go into the side thing, and let's just move this a little bit closer, so that it kind of ends a little bit faster there. So then, and I kind of would like it there. So that it goes right with the music more. And let's go back to this wiggle. Let's just put, so it's going to wiggle 10 times, and on the pixel range of 13 and 13. Okay, that'll be a little bit better. All right, let's try it one more time. All right. Okay, there we have it. It's you know, gives you, you know, some tools there to use, and to bring your logo and just give it a little bit of punch. Thank you again. My name again is Tim Milloway at timmilloway.com.